We've touched on this commercial awareness phrase, and it in some respects is the holy grail, because lots of employers will cite this as being a differentiator because, as colleagues have said, lots of strong academics, many people have got the sort of work experience that you would expect them to have obtained, and many have done extracurricular and other activities and helped by their careers advisors have been able to articulate how that develops skills. So it is that commercial awareness, and of course these are generally commercial operations, and therefore this understanding is very important. So we may well all between us have some useful examples, but perhaps from my perspective, I'll often say to people I've got commercial awareness because of the grey hairs I have. So it is about serving time and experiencing things and learning from them. So for someone with a little less grey hair, Cameron, how have you been able to demonstrate commercial awareness, and what does it look like to you?
I think for the bar, it can be quite unique, and I think there are two strands at the minute of commercial awareness at the bar. The first one is with regards to the practical awareness and the practical appliance of your knowledge and skills, and something I touched on slightly earlier of not just the black letter law, but how can this help your client in this situation. And many people don't get past that stage, and it's all well and good knowing the academic background and the law behind something, but take it that one step further. And is this argument, is it going to be cost effective? Is there an argument to take to court? Is there alternatives such as mediation, etc., and all those practical appliances of the law? And secondly, it's the market and business development side of the profession now. More and more nowadays, it's about marketing yourself as an individual. And when you're a self-employed practitioner, such as quite a high proportion of the bar, it's about getting out there and demonstrating to firms, to clients, and to everyone else that you have the skills available for them to bring their business to, and that you have the facilities and the availability.
Paul, how do you advise students who are worried about the prospect of having to answer that question at the interview? What is commercial awareness and how can I show it?
Well, I think it's not something that can be done in a day, as you said. It's probably taken a long time for you to get your grey hairs, as you say. But I think that I'm going to suggest something a little bit radical in this digital age in terms of the radio. And I think that there are some fantastic programs on there that are perhaps overlooked by students, such as The Bottom Line. There's Question Time, there's In Business, and these are programs that really, if you listen to them, there's top CEOs, they're talking about what's worrying them, what context they have to operate in, what the political context is, what the economic factors are affecting that business, then you've got the legal, the technical, the environmental. So these programs are worth listening to on podcasts, and that will give you a good insight into what's going on. I always get worried if students are not quite aware of what's going on in the wider world. And also, I think your own local market, understand what's going on there. You can have the big picture, but I think it's quite important to have an understanding of the local market that you're operating in. I think it comes back to what we were saying about also societies on campus. Perhaps you've set one up, you've had to run a budget, so there's a little bit of micro management there of understanding your costs. You can get some commercial awareness there. And indeed do an inventory, I think, of your own career. You may have had some commercial awareness working in work experience, or even in the pub, as my colleague has said, doing the cash ups or whatever it is. So there's a variety of ways that you can do that. So I think have an interest and a curiosity as to what's really worrying and troubling people. You know, what worries a CEO in their top in tray? You know, what are they actually worried about? So that would be my advice. Get curious about it.
I saw a student a couple of weeks ago who was a little bit worried about this particular question, and when looking at the CV, in fairness, there wasn't a great deal of legal experience, and therefore there was a nervousness about how to handle it. But over the course of 3, 4, possibly 5 years, they had worked on a farm in the summer holidays. And they confessed that the start of this job really was just to stand there as people pick strawberries, and there was nothing more sophisticated than that. But I was impressed by the way the job had evolved, and clearly the attitude and the willingness to learn had seen them move up the ranks. But they were able to articulate superbly just how that farm operated, from the way that the car park was positioned to the way that the advertising said come in and eat strawberries as you go round, and therefore enticing people in, the way the shop was set up, the way the punnet size was as it was, and ultimately had a really good understanding of how that business operated. And indeed the sort of the coup de grace was the willingness to then go to the boss and say, why don't we do this and this? I think it will be in our best interests. And I think that again was a great demonstration of commercial awareness, what from my perspective is valid to demonstrate at the stage of career which that person was at. From a Nabarro perspective, from an employer perspective, how important is commercial awareness and what do you look for?
It is absolutely critical. Again, it goes back to what we said before. It's not just demonstrating you are bright, you're intelligent, every applicant will be so. But again, linking to what you've just said in terms of having the ability and wherewithal to go to the boss and to suggest an idea. Clients these days are not just looking for reactive grey suits in the corner, the people that they'll call upon when they need something but they've done all the thinking beforehand. They're actually looking for you to be part of their business team, to, in some respects, be part of their company, be part of their business. And they are looking for their lawyers to be proactive, to be problem solvers, to actually strategize with them in some respects, and to do some of the blue sky thinking with them. They like people who come up with ideas, who come to them with concepts and solutions, possibly before the issue's actually arisen. And to be able to do that properly, you have to show that you have an awareness of the client's business, of the imperatives that impact their decision making, of the larger economic market that they operate in, what their competitors are up to, what really makes them tick, and what challenges do they face in the future. And you can't do that by only narrowly looking at the law. You have to read up, you have to become aware of what's happening in the wider market. And I think that is definitely something that becomes easier as you grow through your career. You aim to become the trusted advisor of your client, and you can't do that from day one. That takes years and years and years, and many of us are still working on it. But there are small things that you can do, for example, the farm and strawberry example, to show that you have that awareness of how important it is, and how you will aim in your career to develop that. So that is definitely something that we're looking for, and somebody who can come to interview and can give an example and can think laterally, and show, okay, this was my experience and this is why it demonstrates I have a good commercial awareness. I think that's really important.